Just before this gets started, I just want to say that this video contains some minor spoilers for Season 8 of American Horror Story. Today I'm going to be talking about everything we know about the 8th season of American Horror Story titled Apocalypse. So let's start off with the basics. The season is confirmed to be the highly anticipated crossover between Murder House and Coven. The returning cast for Season 8 is as follows. A returning cast member for Season 8 is Sarah Paulson. She will be reprising her Season 1 role of Billie Dean Howard, along with her Season 3 role of Cordelia Good. Along with these two returning characters, Sarah Paulson will also be playing a new character named Venable. Venable is rumored to be one of the main villains of the season and is also described to be wearing some sort of dental appliances. They have yet to elaborate on what that means. Also returning for Apocalypse is Kathy Bates. Kathy will be playing a new character named Mrs. Mead. Not much has been revealed yet about Mrs. Mead, but Kathy Bates did dye her hair jet black for the role. Nothing has been announced on whether or not Kathy will reprise any of her previous American Horror Story roles. American Horror Story staple Evan Peters will also be returning for the 8th season. Evan will be playing a comedic character this season whose name is yet to be announced. His character is described as a hairstylist, and set photos leaked of Evan sporting a new blonde hair dye job and an eccentric outfit. Emmy-nominated Adina Porter will be returning for the season and will be playing a new character named Dina Stevens. Adina described Dina in a recent interview, stating, "She's a motherfucker, and she's lovely. You'd have her over for tea." Leslie Grossman, who previously played Meadow Wilton in Colt, will also be returning as a new character named Coco St. Pierre Vanderbilt. Set photos of this character have also leaked and looks very wealthy. Billie Lourd will also be returning as a character named Mallory. In the same set pictures as Leslie's character, Billie's character is seen also looking like a wealthy hipster. Based on their over-the-top costumes, they can likely be expected to be the comedic relief characters. And in the leak, they were obviously having a scene together, so we can assume that they will also be having many scenes together throughout the season. Another returning American Horror Story cast member is Billy Eichner. He previously played Harrison Wilton on Colt. Not much is known about his new character, except that in leaked footage, Billy Eichner is seen exiting an expensive sports car in a professional suit. We can theorize that maybe he's a wealthy entrepreneur or CEO or something of that sort. Emma Roberts will be returning as her Coven character, Madison Montgomery. It is unknown if she's playing any other characters. Thaisa Farmiga will also be reappearing in Apocalypse as her Coven character Zoe Benson, along with her Murder House character Violet Harmon. Gabri Sidibe will also be returning as her Coven and Hotel character Queenie. Lily Rabe will be returning as Misty Day from Coven. Frances Conroy will be returning as Myrtle Snow from Coven. Stevie Nicks has also been announced to make another American Horror Story appearance as herself, Stevie Nicks. Cheyenne Jackson will also be returning. Nothing at all is known about his role so far. Connie Britton and Dylan McDermott will also be returning as Vivian and Ben Harmon, respectively. And last, but certainly not least, fan favorite Jessica Lange is confirmed to be returning as Constance Langdon, her Murder House character. Now, before you get too overwhelmed, some of these returning cast members will only appear in 1 to 3 episodes, depending on their arc. They're not all main characters. For example, Jessica Lange, Connie Britton, and Dylan McDermott so far have only been confirmed to be in the 6th episode of this season. Also, this is not confirmed, but I would expect characters such as Misty Day, Queenie, Stevie Nicks, and Myrtle Snow. I would assume they wouldn't be in for the entire season, but that's just a theory. Along with the returning cast, Apocalypse has also added some new cast members. Cody Fern from American Crime Story, The Assassination of Gianni Versace, will be in American Horror Story Apocalypse. He will be playing Michael Langdon, the son of Tate Langdon and Vivian Harmon from Season 1, who just so happens to be the Antichrist. And if you don't know, he was raised by Constance. Set footage also leaked of Cody Fern in his costume, and he resembles Tate Langdon very much in the footage. Joan Collins will be making her first American Horror Story appearance in Apocalypse. She will be playing the grandmother of Evan Peters' character. Like I said, Evan Peters will be playing a hairstylist, and Joan Collins is playing his grandmother. Other new cast members coming to American Horror Story Apocalypse are Jeffrey Boyer Chapman, Kyle Allen, Billy Porter from Pose, and Leslie Farah. Their roles have yet to be announced. Alright, so that was all the confirmed cast, at least as of August 2018. Now let's talk about the confirmed episode titles and what I expect to happen in those episodes. Episode 1 of Season 8 will be titled The End. This is where I'll start getting into some spoilery zones, so if you don't want to be spoiled on Season 8 of American Horror Story, you're going to want to end the video here. Alright, so based off of what has leaked and based on the episode title, this is how I expect Episode 1 to go down. I think the first half of the episode will mostly be exposition. Personally, I'm not sure if any crossover elements will actually play into this episode or not, but we'll see. But I think, based on the set leaks so far, we will majorly get some exposition on the new characters before the apocalypse actually happens. All of the set leaks with Evan, Leslie, and the two Billies are presumably from Episode 1. And the set leaks, specifically of Leslie Grossman and Billy Lord, seem to take place at some sort of bar or restaurant. To me, this scene is obviously taking place before any apocalyptic event happens. So I assume that this scene may be the introduction to Coco and Mallory's lifestyles before the apocalypse. I imagine them to be more of a hipstery and less pink version of the Chanels from Scream Queens. So similar to when the Chanels lose all of their money in Season 2 of Scream Queens, and they kind of have to deal with being poor and having to work for their money, I imagine Coco and Mallory to go through that same sort of arc in Apocalypse. From the leaks alone, I presume Coco and Mallory are the type to cling to society, like Starbucks and iPhones and other materialistic things. So when everything they have and love is obliterated by this nuclear event, they will likely have no idea how to function. It will be a drastic shift for them. Similarly, Billy Eichner's character seems to be a wealthy businessman based on his car costume and the fact that he seems to have an office in downtown Los Angeles. More on that in a second. But I imagine Billy Eichner's character will be dealing with everything he worked for being destroyed. His business, all of his material possessions. I expect his character, along with Coco and Mallory, to go through a similar transition from riches to rags in the first episode. Evan Peters' character and Joan Collins' characters probably go through similar transition as well, but perhaps they're not quite as rich as the others. We know Evan is a hairstylist, which is probably not making him much of a fortune. Joan Collins' character, I theorize, will be a retired film actress of sorts. This isn't based on anything besides the fact that I can't imagine Joan Collins playing anything but glamour. Maybe she was hugely popular in her prime, but as she's aged, the role stopped coming. I think her character is maybe clinging to the glamour of her heyday, but perhaps on a budget. Similar to Bette Davis and Joan Crawford on how, like, their career descended towards the ends of their lives. And some actors and actresses like that even went bankrupt near the ends of their careers. I kind of imagine her character so far as like a struggling former superstar, but that is based on nothing alone, so that is not a spoiler at all. I could be completely off. Anyway, I think that maybe halfway or even later than that in the episode 1, the apocalypse will actually hit, the nuclear event or whatever starts the apocalypse, presumably a nuclear event based on the teasers and promotional material. It seems that that is the direction they're going for the apocalypse. We will get a glimpse of how widespread the destruction is, and we may also be introduced to Venable in the exposition. So that's basically what I think will happen in Season 8, Episode 1, titled The End. Now, Episode 2 is called The Morning After, and this is where I think we will see where these new characters end up post-apocalypse. I expect maybe Michael Langdon and Venable will be more introduced in this episode. I expect them to be working together, given that they're the only two confirmed villains of this season so far. I think Venable, played by Sarah Paulson, will be the evil leader of a new civilization after the apocalypse, similar to a character like President Snow in the Hunger Games. In a teaser, Venable says, like, now is your chance to survive, like, join us, that type of message.
Now is your chance to be one of the few remaining. This is your chance to survive. We'll find you soon.
And I think maybe she's trying to gather all of the survivors of this apocalyptic event to form a new corrupt evil civilization. I believe Venable, with the help of Michael Langdon, triggered this apocalyptic event on purpose. You know, mind control, witchcraft, all those things could set off maybe one country with nuclear weapons to actually trigger an attack. I don't think the actual world governments actually started a nuclear war. I believe Michael Langdon and perhaps Venable are behind it. The most common villain motivation mission is world domination, and so I suppose it would be easier to achieve world domination if you kind of wipe out most of the population and all the world leaders and all that. I feel like that may be the plan of the villains this season. Once again, this is completely my just general theory. I'm not basing this off of fact. We may start to see some of the Coven appear in episode 2, but I'm not sure. If we do, though, we'll probably see how the witches used their magic to survive this apocalypse. We'll probably see some resurrections of the dead witches in order to stop the Antichrist. I also expect Venable to use fear tactics similar to Kai Anderson in Cult. This is mostly based off of the fact that the Venable promo video is very similar to the Kai Anderson promo from Cult and also the Winter Anderson promo from Cult. I'll put those up right now.
Can I ask you a question? When was the last time you felt safe? Fear is the greatest motivator.
Those first two episode titles, The End and The Morning After, are confirmed by FX, and then these next three titles are just rumors, so they're not confirmed. They may or may not be true, but the same source that had these three episodes also had the first two that turned out to be true, so these are probably them. Episode 3 is rumored to be called Forbidden Fruit. Episode 4 is rumored to be called Could It Be Satan? And Episode 5 is rumored to be called Boy Wonder. So I won't get into depth about what I think will happen in these episodes, because I kind of feel like what I said in episode 2 might be happening throughout the span of these episodes, but episode 3 is called Forbidden Fruit. Not quite sure what could happen. It's obviously a reference to Adam and Eve, but we'll see. Episode 4 is called Could It Be Satan? Which is obviously a reference to the Antichrist, Michael Langdon. Maybe this is where we actually get like revealed on Michael Langdon's backstory, and maybe this is where we start to get those murder house connections, even though I believe most of them will come in episode 6. Episode 5 is called Boy Wonder, which I also think is a reference to Michael Langdon. Maybe 4, 5, and 6 are maybe the Michael Langdon episodes, if not every episode is that. But the episode titles for episode 4 and 5 seem to be referring to Michael Langdon. Alright, so now that I've kind of generally given my theory about what's going to happen in the first half of the season, I'm going to end this video and continue in part 2 later on this week, and I will be more so discussing what I think will happen in episode 6 and on in the season, and in the next part I will also be discussing the leaks that have come out this previous month more in detail. So if you want to see that, be sure to subscribe and look out for that video later this week. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you. Bye.